second speaker is waiting. Could you just go ahead and read his bio if you have that queued up right there?
All right, and that's Mr. Blake?
Arrey. Hi, Arrey, welcome.
Oh, Arrey.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. All right. So Arrey currently serves as President and Chief Executive Officer of the International Institute of St. Louis. Prior to joining the International Institute, he served as founder and Chief Executive Officer of Transformunity. Interesting word there. A firm that helps corporations and organizations harness opportunities to transform the world. Transformunity assists organizations in addressing complex challenges through strategy development, movement building, advocacy, and strategic events. And even prior to that, he served as Secretary General of the Junior Chamber International, JCI, a global network of 150,000 young active citizens in more than 100 countries, empowering young people to create positive change in their communities. As Secretary General, he was Chief Administrative Officer, leading implementation of the organization's overall strategy and supervising a team in accomplishing the mission of the organization across the world. For 17 years, he led Junior Chamber International at various levels, including as Director for Africa and the Middle East, Executive Director and Deputy Secretary General. And Arrey Obenson is also a barrister of law, a member of the Cameroon Bar Association, and an inspiring speaker who has engaged audiences in nearly 100 countries. He holds a Master of Law degree from Washington University, lives in St. Louis with his wife, Victorine, and their 2 sons. Arrey is author of the recently published book, Bridging the Opportunity Gap. Ladies and gentlemen, Chief Executive Officer of International Institute, Arrey Obenson.
Yeah, thank you very much for that introduction, and Ev, thank you for giving me the opportunity to be part of this summit and to talk to the young people about what we talk to young people about, their future. And you asked me to talk about how we bridge the gap for these young people to succeed, how we narrow the gap. So I want to start with talking about what the gap is. For me, the opportunity gap is the gap between our current state and the potential that we have. The current state of an individual and the potential that that individual has to accomplish their wildest dreams. It is the gap between where an organization is and the potential for that organization to achieve its greatest ambition. It's the gap between where a company or a business is, like the last speaker, and the opportunity to achieve the greatest potentials of that company as well. So I would say for a country like Jamaica or any other country. And so I have focused a lot on the opportunity gap, and there's a reason why I focused on this opportunity gap. And I'm going to just read something, a paragraph which really inspired this conversation about the opportunity gap. And it goes like this. It is all about the opportunity as opposed to the challenge. It is all about solutions and not the problems. Too often we allow ourselves to be defined by our challenges and our problems. Experience tells me that individuals, organizations, and corporations that focus on their challenges are defined by their challenges. They typically suffer or collapse under the weight of those challenges. On the other hand, individuals, organizations, and corporations that focus on their opportunities are defined by their opportunities, they typically grow and flourish. Ideas that have flourished and organizations or corporations that have endured and succeeded in transforming our lives all focus on opportunity. They are solution-oriented. If you want your idea to flourish, if you desire to change the world, then strive to grow into a leader. You must be solution-oriented. You must focus on the opportunity. Find the silver lining in every challenge. Challenge the status quo. Be disruptive. Don't remain stuck to failures, to past failures. Open your mind to new perspectives, and you will prevail. It is about the opportunity, nothing but the opportunity. And for me, this sums up the message that I'm going to have for the young people here today. And well, not only the young people, but even us that pertain to be working to support the young people. That too often we spend our time talking about what is wrong, that we fail to see what could be possible. What could be possible is empowering these young people to aspire for a future that is one of their dreams, that they are not plagued with the impossibilities of the things that they try to achieve today, but that they're acquiring the skill sets, and we are creating the pathways for them to be able to build a Jamaica, a Caribbean, a world of their dreams. And whilst too often we look far to the other side of the room or to somebody else to find answers to the complex challenges that we face, those answers are within us. By working together, by changing our mindset, we can be able to overcome our challenges. And so I wrote this book as a result of the experiences that I've had traveling around the world, working with young people in over 100 countries. And as I've met and engaged and worked with young people, as I've spoken to them about finding solutions rather than being stuck with the problems, I have seen the transformation take place in individuals as they have gone from, I recall visiting Botswana and having a conversation in that community, and a few years later going back to see that young people had come together to build a daycare center, mobilizing resources within their communities, allowing women to be able to go to work and go to their farms, and so their children could be in a daycare. But those solutions were crafted by young people in that community, which eventually led to economic prosperity in the community. And I can go on and on. Whether it was in Bangladesh, right after a huge collapse of fire that took place in a company, there was significant blood shortage in the country. Young people came together, brought together stakeholders, and we were able to create in that country a database in which everybody who had a cell phone was able to identify their blood group connected to their cell phone, so that when there was a crisis again, they could easily go to the person that they needed their blood to be able to use. And they didn't have to collect all of this blood and throw it away because it got contaminated. So there's just so much potential in young people if they can see, if we can create the space for them to paint a picture of what the future can be. People are only prosperous when they can see in their mind's eye what the outcome of their action today will lead them to. But plagued with the challenges that we face on a normal basis, we tend not to see beyond these obvious challenges. And if there's one message, if this is how you narrow the gap, you have to create the opportunities for young people to paint that picture. What do you want tomorrow to look like? And how do we get there? If you cannot see it, you can get it. If you cannot imagine it, you can achieve it. So that to me is the message that I would carry to every audience of young people that I have, and to even the older generation, we have the tendency to see things from our perspective. I hate to break the news to the older people who are here, is that the future doesn't belong to us. The future belongs to the people who are coming after us. And so what we build today must be designed to sustain those who come after us. That's bridging the opportunity gap. I am happy to engage on any questions or further comments, and I'm happy to do that.
Great, great, Arrey. Nice hearing you. Nice hearing about the opportunity gap. You published a book recently on the very subject, right?
Yes, absolutely. I have the book here, Bridging the Opportunity Gap.
Okay, how can people get your book?
Well, the book is available on several platforms, but if you go to bridgethegap.com, you can get a book. I'm actually in the month of April, and we got only a day left, actually signing books personally that we're shipping out to people. But you can get the book on any of the platforms, Amazon, Google Play. You can also download the ebook. It's on Apple. The book is available on at least 23 platforms in 106 countries. So if you just go in and type any of Google, Bridging the Opportunity Gap, bridgetheopportunitygap.com.
Wonderful.
You should get it.
Congratulations on that.
Thank
now,
you.
Arrey, you have done a lot of work with young people and traveled the world doing all of these things that your bio speaks of. What are some of the most memorable projects you work on during, over the years in terms of young people?
Yes, thank you very much. I've really seen amazing work being done that young people have done that has been transformational for communities across the world. Several of them, a lot of them have really made a difference. That sometimes it's hard for me to pick out which ones. But let me just pick out one, for example, that really struck me. There's a group in Mexico that went into a community and they built a classroom, or they built classrooms for the village. And the villagers really appreciated the classroom, but after a year, this group went back to the village to take a look at how much progress had been made. And these classrooms were not being used. There were goats in the classroom and of that. So these young people sat down with the community leaders to find out why they were not using the classroom. And they said, well, we can go to school. And the reason we can't go to school is because we don't have water in the village, right? Children have to go, they wake up in the morning and go fetch water. And they go fetch water, and by the time they come back, the parents have to go to the farm. So the children have to stay with their younger kids, younger siblings, take care of them while the parents go to the farm, because that's the feed from the farm. So children don't have time to go to school.
Wow. So
what the chapter ended up doing was that they built a fish pond. And why a fish pond? So they built a borehole for them to have water in the village, right? And the excess water flowed into a fish pond. Several reasons. It transformed the lives of the people, because now they had water. The children didn't have to go kilometers or miles to fetch water in the morning. Secondly, the excess water went into the fish pond, and they became fish farmers. Mm-hmm. So now, instead of going distances to farm, they were farming as fish farmers. Mm-hmm. There was water around, and the irrigated water also created vegetable farming for them. Transformational for the people, right? And understanding what the need within the community is really important. The young people who went through that process also became transformed in their lives, because now they understand how you provide solutions. You don't just do activities because it's a good feeling. No, you do it because you know it's responding to a need, and that your action is providing a solution. And that same mindset is what you take into your business, is what you take into achieving your greatest dreams, is that it's my action leading to the desired results that I want. And these are the kind of projects, the project in Accra, Ghana, that was started out with just trying to give food to people who didn't have food at the end of the day. Started out by just collecting food from hotels and giving people. Grew from that to a national food distribution chain that collects excess food from hotel, packages them, and delivers them to orphanages across the country. They have now, we gave them, we even gave them a grant to grow, to scale up. They now have cars across the country, say food distribution chain, and not just giving food to poor people. So it's phenomenal opportunities, like business in itself. Sometimes people may think that doing work in the community is just charitable work, but more than charity, there's a lot of development that takes place in the minds of the people that participate, but also in the communities. And if we can look beyond just the personal sacrifice that we make to understand that those efforts could be transformational for the people who are involved and even for the country. You know, that's what that's why I am so attached and have a strong conviction that the answers to the world's problems can be solved by young people who are enlightened, inspired, and empowered.
Yeah, absolutely. I can see that happening. And you're saying that even though it's voluntary work you go in to do, the person who is doing the work is also benefiting. They're growing, they're learning to manage businesses because they have to manage these projects that no one will fire them if they failed or something didn't go right. Although the aim is to make sure it's a successful project, but they're getting the chance to get experience, good experience, without being fired if there's a problem. So they don't have that additional pressure on them. So it's a training ground that you're not paying for.
Yeah. Yes, my story is exactly that. In my book, Bridging the Opportunity Gap, and the second chapter is titled Naive Audacity. Mm-hmm. Why naive audacity is that at the age of 26 years old, I was the local president of my JCI local organization and had visited a hospital. And I realized that in that hospital, the toilets were not working. The sanitary conditions were really terrible. And I say this because at that time I was sharing a flat with another friend of us. We barely could afford our daily bread. I just started my legal practice and you know, things were difficult like every other beginning. And, you know, but seeing what I saw at the hospital, I said to myself, there was no way I couldn't do anything about it. And we were able within 6 months to be able to raise over $60,000 and transform the entire plumbing and sanitary facilities of that hospital, and even led the major corporations in the city, like an oil refinery and a huge plantation, to join in the campaign. So we actually led transformation, and that I call naive audacity. And naive audacity is simply to say, that there are times when you have to look beyond the obvious challenges and really focus on what you want to achieve. So focused that you don't even see the obstacles in your way. Right. And that's how you achieve everything that humankind has set out.
I'm sure people probably saying that about me now, Arrey, that I'm moving with naive audacity in trying to transform an entire community. But based on what you're just saying here, it is totally possible. And we're seeing the whole thing coming alive. And it's not even as difficult as some people may think. You know, it was much more difficult to plan this conference than to do the other stuff down there in Jamaica. um, so, any of you have questions for Arrey?
Yeah, I'm just overly impressed. I'm excited about what the example he used about the fish project.
Right.
Because it was not just a project that would allow folks to be able to put money into their pockets, but it also answered quite a number of questions, and it proved itself a solution to many of the logistic, the problems of, people having to work far from home and, leaving the children back and forth. Now you're doing something that's closer. And so many questions can be answered and so many solutions found by just listening to people, understanding what their specific problems are. Because many people believe that because something worked somewhere else, it's easy to just shift that into this community. But then this community might have different needs, so I applaud you for the work that you're doing, Arrey. And I believe that more communities like the Newmarket community and others in Jamaica and other parts of the world should find you and talk to you and see how they can find solutions to many of the problems they have.
Yeah, absolutely. Because Arrey, tell me, you went to the hospital to do something and then you notice there's a problem with bathroom. Yeah. What did you do to get to people to buy into your vision to help and all that? Tell us how that worked.
Yep.
So it starts with one. It starts with one.
It does. Well, here's the thing. I went back to my friends basically and said, we have to do something about it. And I tell you, we laughed at it. We knew that it was something that was just too big for us to even venture into. But here's what we did. One thing which I know young people have is creativity, energy, and a voice. Those three things are probably the most powerful tools that you can ever have to be able to achieve or create any change. So what we did was that we went to the hospital and we took pictures of the hospital. We raised money from our own meager funds to rent a booth. There was a trade show coming up in the city. Now, when a trade show, people usually come there with their products to sell and exhibit and grow. We rented a trade booth and we had nothing to sell but those pictures. So we put the pictures of the state of the toilet to show the community what the state of the hospital in this community was. And all that we were saying is this the kind of hospital that you want to go to when your wife is having a baby? Is this the kind of hospital that when you have an accident along the road, you'll be taken in and you're unconscious, you'll be taken to? And it was such a powerful sight that people started contributing to it. And we raised the money and we worked for 30 days. We wanted to be exemplary, 30 days, day and night in rebuilding or transforming the toilet. So that's how we did it. Was it easy? No. We even tried to do a fundraising gala at the beginning and it flopped because there was a storm in the city, but we never stopped. We had challenges as we went along the way, but we knew exactly what the intended outcome was, and nothing could stop us. Not even nature could stop us from getting there. And that's really, over my time, and with the work that I've done across the world, is that every time I've had a conversation with people who clearly understand what the outcome is, nothing can stop them. It may take time, but they would succeed in achieving it. So young people have to be audacious. Do not see yourself as limited by the challenges that you're facing today. No, because inside you is something bigger than you can imagine. You just have to let it out.
Wonderful, wonderful. Shalini, do you have any question for Arrey?
I am just in awe. I am sitting here, and I mean, if you could see the bumps, the goosebumps and stuff, And I mean, it is things like these that I think us as the youths we need, even though I'm not so young, but yes, I'm considered the youth. This is what we need to just to propel us. And a lot of times, you know, you meet on the stumbling blocks and you meet on those are the roadblocks. And it is people like you that we need to hear from. I mean, I was just floored when you said you didn't have anything to sell, but you took the pictures there to show them what is there. And I mean, that is just, let's say the proof of the pudding is in eating it. You just came, you brought it to the table to show them what was there. And I mean, I have to say kudos. I just have to applaud you. Well done. Good. You just motivated me. You just preached a sermon. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And your pivot as well. I heard a little bit of your story. You know, it's going to be, obviously, if it was easy, everybody will be doing it. You are doing it because there is a need. And so it will be challenging, but you clearly know what you're doing. And I encourage you. I hope that someday I'll be able to check back and see how you're doing with that.
Indeed, would love that.
Right. So Arrey, someone like you, you're a voice that people need to hear. People need to know, you know, that sometimes some of the things that we use as limitations, they're just minor stuff. It's just us putting barriers in our way. But when they hear from someone like you talking about these awesome projects, and how young people come together and put these together, you know, out of nothing most of the time. They don't have the money. They don't see the way how they're going to build this school or build this whatever. And they sit down together and plan and find a way to make it happen. And this is the kind of environment that you have been working in for the last, God knows how long. And there are so many of these stories that you could share with young people. So you're a diamond. You're such a great resource for us to be networking with. And I would advise that you guys buy his book, read it, hear what he has to say in it, communicate, reach out. You know, his bio is online. You could send him an email. But just connect. This is what this is about. Finding ways for young people to connect, to network, to realize that there's a big old world out there with a lot of people that can point you in the right direction. Arrey, we want to thank you so very much for taking the time today to be here and to share with us. As a global village, we're trying to make the global village possible. And I'm sure you can see that happening.
Thank you. Thank you very much. The future that is ahead of us is largely depends on us. We have to define what tomorrow will look like, and the little things that we do, like what you are doing now with this youth summit. It's vital. It could change a life in places that you would not imagine. So thank you very much, and thank you for inviting me. I'm also living here as inspired, hopefully, as all the people who are listening. And let's go change the world.
Just go change the world. All right.
I like that.
See you around.
Thank you.
Thank you. So
I like that.
Okay.
Let's go change the world.
The world. All right.
Yes.
How do you feel after listening to?
I feel good. And I'm saying if this is just the start of the summit and I am so inspired, then I can imagine what's going to happen as we continue throughout the day, because we have quite a number of other presenters coming. And, you know, unfortunately, I have to skedaddle for a little bit and then come back because I'm going to have to be changing the world somewhere else and then coming back. But so far, I must tell you that I'm very impressed. I am inspired. And I know that you will see the fruit of today's planting real soon.